Very special story that we're about to share with you. It was the U.S. Navy's first major amphibious assault, and it was a key battle leading up to Japan's defeat in World War II. More than 1,600 American lives were lost at that place on Red Beach in the group of Pacific Islands that are known as Tarawa. For those who fought there, it is hallowed ground, and one veteran recently went back for the first time, and he was shocked at what he found there.
I'm pointing to what seems to me the very symbol of everything that represents the reason for my trip. You see, we are surrounded by garbage everywhere, but also there is on this beach.
It is the subject of a new Military Channel documentary called Return to Tarawa. Stephen Barber is the director, and you just saw World War II veteran Leon Cooper. Both gentlemen join us now from Los Angeles. Mr. Cooper, thank you very much for being with us. I know this is something you feel very strongly about, and rightfully so. What was it like for you? How old were you during this battle, and what was it like for you when you set foot back on that beach for the first time?
I was in my 20s. That was my first battle experience of 6 during my 2.5 years in the Pacific. And I had never seen so many guys being killed during the space of a few hours. I made a number of trips into Red Beach on my Higgins boat groups. And as I came in and as I landed, I saw scores of my fellow countrymen being felled by murderous Japanese gunfire. That was an experience that still stays with me all these years. I made a number of trips, and each time the carnage was worse than before. During 3 days, more than 6,000 guys altogether were lost during those 3 days of savagery.
Yeah, one of the bloodiest battles, sir. And Stephen, I just want to go to you if I quickly can. We're going to try and show some of the pictures. Why was it so important for you to make this film?
Well, yeah, I'm an accidental filmmaker. This was divinely inspired. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but I met Eddie Albert about 12 years ago on my mountain bike, the great Eddie Albert, who's best known for Green Acres, but he was in 100 major motion pictures. He was in the Battle of Tarawa. Fast forward 10 years, I meet Leon Cooper literally 2 years ago tomorrow at the UCLA Book Fair, and we started talking. He had written a book called The Retrospective of the War of World War II in the Pacific, and I'd asked him if he'd known Eddie Albert. And he said, not only do I know him, I saw that crazy guy dragging Marines out of the lagoon. I couldn't believe it. There were 100,000 people at this show, and for some reason I was drawn to Leon. We became fairly good friends, and after a few months of prodding, and I mean prodding because he didn't want to go back, I convinced him that we needed to go back there because he had an action plan that he wanted to put into effect. And it came to me. I never looked for it, but it was about 10 to 12 years in the making from the meeting of Eddie Albert.
Leon, I recently had the honor of visiting Normandy, and you know, when you're there and you see the great tribute to so many soldiers who have fallen, it must be devastating for you to know that that area is so rightfully preserved, and the area that you fought in and you watched your friends and comrades there die in is treated like this.
Unfortunately, it's one of these battles that took place many years ago in a faraway place. Unfortunately, it has passed away from public understanding and viewing. Unfortunately, our government, too, over the years, has ignored and indeed disgraced the memory of all those guys who died during that terrible 3-day period.
What hope do you have that now that this movie is there, that will change, that the government will, do the right thing on this island?
Well, I hope the government is shamed, I guess that's the word, into finally addressing the wrongs that have taken place over the years. Now, it's not the fault of any one administration. This is strictly between the government and the people whose representatives fought and died during that battle. I'm often asked by my kids why I'm doing this. I feel I have an obligation to honor, since our government doesn't do this, to honor the memory of all those guys who fought in our country.
Leon,
if you're interested in...
Go ahead,
please. I was going to say, perhaps your viewers may be interested in one facet of my experience there during my time during the Battle of Tarawa. My job was bringing Marines in And unfortunately, I had the sad duty of returning the wounded back to my ship. And one incident in particular comes to mind. I still remember this vividly as if it happened yesterday. There were a number of wounded on my boat, and one of them was calling out, "It hurts." So I went over to him, and I asked him, did he have a shot? I meant morphine. And he said no, so I searched to make sure that I did not affect adversely his wound, and I gave him a shot, and I put a date and a time of the shot, making sure that he would not be overdosed with morphine. And I watched him, and the pain went away, and he motioned to me with his eyes, and I leaned closer. I couldn't understand what he was saying, but I put my ear right against his lips, and I said, "What did you say?" And I'm not sure he said this, but I think he did. He said, "Remember me." And then shortly after that, he died. Now, did he actually say that? I think he did, but I'll never know. Even if he didn't say that, that's my obligation to do something about not only that kid who died in my presence, but the many others.
Yeah, there were
That's a
so
story
many.
that stays with me.
Yep.
Thank
You're a
you
hero,
so much
Leon.
for sharing that with us, Leon, and you're
Stephen.
doing a wonderful thing for all those young men whose lives were lost there and their families who remember all of them. We thank you very much for being with us. We look forward to seeing it when it's aired.
Terrific. Yeah, Return to Tarawa airs tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the Military Channel.
Yeah. Great story.